gentleman from Pennsylvania, Representative Perry, for your questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to our witnesses for being here. It distresses me that we start out the conversation by blaming the United States of American taxpayers and citizens for the problems in Burma. And I remind my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that this has been going on for a long time. They might not have been here, but I have been here. And the United States, in many cases, and certainly under other administrations, have sent humanitarian assistance, which we all want to do. We all want to help. But I sat in this very room and complained that while we all were complaining about the plight of the Rohingya, by the time we got to doing something real about it, there weren't going to be any Rohingya left. So it distresses me that that's where we're going to start the conversation. So let's move on to something where we can actually try and find some tangible results, some success here. I guess I'm going to turn to Mr. Ross and Ms. Curry about what we can do as the United States of America that doesn't encumber our taxpayers anymore, because we're $38 trillion in debt, right? But what can we do that's actually going to have a tangible result impacting negatively the junta in Burma, right? What about the STAR, the Stolen Asset Recovery System? What about access to SWIFT? What are things that we can do to hobble them and empower the people of Burma and the Rohingya? Go ahead, any one of you.
Sure, I'll start. Thank you for the question. I think there are several things that the U.S. can and should be doing that do not require financial resources. It does not require resources for us to reject the elections, to engage partners and allies in the region to do the same. What the Myanmar military craves is legitimacy, and denying them that will have follow-on impacts for their ability to wage war against the Myanmar people. In addition to that, I think the sanctions regime that's been imposed has been a good starting point. I would go beyond the imposition of sanctions itself and look at coordination, both interagency within the U.S. on sanctions enforcement and coordination with allies and partners outside of the U.S. to ensure that it is not just U.S. sanctions that are having an impact. I'll stop there.
And to date, from any administration, those things haven't really been imposed or refined to the furthest extent that they could be. Is that about right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I think there's been a strong imposition of sanctions in incremental manner, but the enforcement has not been nearly as strong as it could be.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I would agree that there are ways. The first thing that I think we should do is consider placing frozen Burmese assets. There is about $1.5 billion in frozen Burmese funds, foreign exchange funds that are sitting in managed account, that are sitting in an account right now, just frozen. We can put those into a managed account and use the interest to provide for some of the humanitarian needs, use the growth or whatever interest on those accounts, much as we're doing with Ukraine with the Russian assets.
And that requires no act of Congress, right? The Treasury can do that on its own.
Treasury can do that with its independent authority today.
Okay.
We should also make sure that countries that are receiving humanitarian assistance from the United States, whether through the United Nations or bilaterally, are providing opportunities for refugees and refugee communities to do work themselves. These people want to work. They will work inside the camps. They will do things, work for pay. And the governments in these countries, Bangladesh, sadly, but also Thailand, has limited the ability of people to work. And Thailand has a labor shortage. They need workers, but they deny them the opportunity to do this. And so we need to be more robust in using our diplomacy to help alleviate some of the burden by allowing these communities to be a little bit more self-sustaining and have access to other services locally. And we can work with them to provide those services in a much more cost-effective way. It's cheaper for us to give the Thais some support to allow access, or Burmese or Bangladesh some support to allow access to local services than for us to create a parallel system for the refugees. So there are ways we can maximize what we're doing without spending more money while also benefiting these communities in important ways. Burma has been kicked out of the SWIFT system for some time. Again, clamping down on some of these things, also going after crypto and taking money that they've stolen whether it's scam centers or the government, out of crypto accounts and moving it into the new U.S. crypto account that we can do with the asset recovery would be a great way to help support some of these programs.
So with the chairman's indulgence, I would just say to you two individuals, if you would get the list of things that you would recommend to my office, we would like to put that in a form to the administration as a request. And I imagine you'll have a lot of people in this committee on both sides of the aisle that are interested in being a part of that. And with that, I yield back and I thank the chair.
Sure.